On today's Into Your Head number 681, How to Survive in a World of Faces, a new minimalistic Garden of Eden, chicken byproducts, America's Next Top Model aeroplane and more. A lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to, issues that need to be addressed, topics. Oh, topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of my lungs. There's topics coming out of my lungs right now. Wasted topics. Topics that have been converted from energy drink to air and expelled before I could even form. Or maybe they're the byproduct of the topic creation system. Who's to know? I don't know the intricacies of the human body. Maybe when I create topics from this energy drink, it gives out a byproduct of air, resulting in a belch. And maybe that's not wastage. It's just extra byproduct. Maybe I should be using that for something else. That's how industry works. You use your byproducts for something else. When you create chicken breasts, you don't just throw the wings in the bin. You sell them on to someone else who has a use for chicken wings, and you sell the feet to someone else, and you sell the hair to someone else who makes chicken hair t-shirts or so. Do they make chicken hair t-shirts? They must do. They don't just throw away the feathers and the hair off the chicken. Surely to Christ. Surely they make. You never hear about poultry hair clothes. No, they must go somewhere though. They don't just throw them away, and I'm pretty sure they don't make food out of them. So what the fuck did they do with chicken hair? Here's a question for you. And I'm not going to answer it here, because for one thing, that would render the whole point of me questioning ridiculous if I already have the answer. And for another thing, I don't know everything. Well, I know enough to ask questions. Do you know enough to ask questions? You probably don't, because that question had never occurred to you, I can tell you. Neither had this one, where I go, do you know enough to ask questions? You're thinking there, I never have thought of that, I never have considered that to be an issue. So it's never occurred to me to ask whether I know enough to ask questions, or whatever it was he said. Well, let's not get bugged out. We're all only human, we can't know everything, so don't be too ashamed of us. Don't go off now and slit your face open or something over a well cover. Why would you do that? Don't know. Why would you slit your face open over a well cover? If you're going to slit your face open, surely to Christ, you do it by accident for one thing, and for another thing, the chances of you being standing over a well cover are very small. And if you do slit your face open over a well cover, you're being very inconsiderate, because you're getting blood and snot and crap. Well, maybe not crap, but at least blood and snot and spit into the public water supply, unless you're living in a place where they don't use the wells anymore. But I'm sure it's all connected. Even if they don't use well water anymore, that water permeates through the rock and ends up in the public water supply, or at least in the public swimming sea area at some point. So have a bit of consideration for the world, or don't be going sticking your face into a well cover, for Christ's sake. There's more to life than that. Even if there wasn't more to life than that, we'd find something. We're an inquisitive race. We'd find something else to do. If we were plunked down here suddenly today in the Garden of Eden, and this was the beginning of the world, and all we had was a well hole cover and a knife and our face, I'm sure we'd find something else to do with then. If you given three things to do stuff with, by mathematics, you're going to find more than one thing to do with those. You're going to find, it's like that game, what's that game, where you figure out who done it, where there's a crime mystery to solve, and you figure out who done it, and you go, it was Mr. Facehole with the glasses beside the stairs, or was Mrs. Something with the axe beside the monkey nut storage facility. Well, it's the same. If you were given just a well and a knife and your face, you'd find something else to do other than stitch your face over the well. You might, for example, decide to use your face to look down the well, or you might decide to use the well cover as a musical instrument by looking at it with your face. There's all sorts of... When there's three things, mathematically, there's at least 27 different combinations of those three things that you could put to work. If you have a brain at all, although maybe if you're just giving a face and a well hole cover and a knife, maybe you're not giving a brain. I suppose I hadn't thought that. Well, it's all... This is all theoretical anyway, it doesn't matter. The world is already up and running. We don't have to think about all that stuff again, about starting off again with just three things in the Garden of Eden. So let's not get bogged down in all that. Anyway, two faces walk into a bar. One of the faces goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, can I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please?" And the man behind the bar says, "Oh, that's original. Your fucking face now. The face is coming into my bar now, asking for pints of Guinness." And the face says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I pick on a nerve there? I'm very sorry that I'm a face and that I come into a bar looking for a drink. I thought we had equality nowadays. I thought anyone over the legal drinking age could come into a bar and order a drink as long as they behave in a civilised manner. I'm not a frigging alien, I'm just a face. We all have faces. Whether you like to admit it or not, you've got a face. I can see it right there. You can't hide it. It's there on your visage. That's a face there. It may be glued onto the front of your head, but it's still a face." And the man behind the bar says, "I do have a face, but I'm not a face. I'm more than my face. My face is just a mask that I put over my brain. I am, in essence, more than a face. I am a brain and a soul and a body. You, on the other hand, are just a face, and that's just weird. Call me old-fashioned, but no, that's just weird, being just a face. A face is a thing you put in front of yourself that you present to the outside world. It's not meant to be you in total. If the whole you is comprised of a face, then that's just wrong. That's like if your house was just a big giant door that was hollowed out and you lived inside the door or something. For a start, you'd have to have a huge ladder going up to the keyhole, because that would obviously be the only entrance, and then you'd have to slide down another ladder once you get inside the keyhole to make use of the hollow of the door. For another thing. No, that's just weird. You're a face. Get out of my bar immediately." And the face says, "Christ, how about if I turn around and you just see the back of my face?" And the barman says, "Don't even think about it." And the face says, "I'm not thinking about it. I don't have a brain. I'm just a face." And the barman says, "Well, it's becoming increasingly obvious that you don't have a brain. Although, now that you mention it, do faces have brains? I don't think they do." And the face says, I don't know. I have no way of thinking about this because I don't have a brain. Although maybe that answers your question, does it?" And the man behind the bar says, "I wasn't asking you. I was just asking the world around me in general." And the face says, "I'm part of the world around you in general. If you don't consider faces to be part of the world around you in general, then..." And the man behind the bar interrupts him and says, "See, that's the problem there. That's the problem. Faces are not part of the world around me. Faces are just what other people in the world around me choose to show of themselves, but they're not of themselves faces. If you look at a face and you think, oh, there's one of the people around me, then you're being tricked by that face. A face should be transparent. You should be able to see behind us to the person behind us, and when I try and look beyond you to the person behind you, all I see is nothing. So you're basically hiding your nothingness behind a face, which is you. And frankly, I can't get my head around that. I have a brain, unlike you, and I still can't wrap my head around that." And the face says, you need to relax. You need to relax and drink some of your own Guinness. Not necessarily while you're on the job, of course, because you have a responsible position here where you have to make sure people aren't drink driving and that they get home safely and that you don't fill them with beer. But no, when you're finished the job, after you've arranged the taxi home, you should have a few drinks and unwind. Although don't get too reliant on that. Maybe I'm giving bad advice here. And the man behind the bar says, doesn't matter whether you're giving bad advice or good advice, I'm not going to heed it. I'm not going to take advice from our face. Jesus Christ. Now what next? What next? We'll have Visage shop fronts just sliding around independently. They'll put shop fronts on the internet or something and you'll be expected to buy from them, and there'll be no shops behind them, just some warehouse out in the middle of the Atlantic somewhere that ships them, I don't know, from the lost continent of Atlantis or somewhere. I don't know. Where does stuff come from when you order it on the internet? That's the thing that creeps me out, you know. And the face says, oh, what was that beeping in the background? And the man behind the bar says, oh, that was the iTelephone. It says, turned off heaters. And even the heater's on because I'm drying some laundry, so it's not a problem. I'm aware that the heaters are on. It's fine because I'm not going out this morning. And the face says, oh, I see. I think you've let your own face slip now because you've revealed that you are not a barman. You are the person behind this whole story. This whole story is a face that the creator of this podcast has put on. And the man behind the bar says, I can't argue with that, I suppose. I can't argue with that much as how I would like to. I can't. Just don't have it in me. And the face says, well, I think my work here is done. And a great night is had by all. Now, I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, Christ, he's back on the faces thing again. I remember about around 150 episodes ago, although admittedly I plucked that number out of the randomity of my mind. I don't know how many shows it was ago, but he did another show where he talked a lot about faces, the nature of the human face, and he seems to be doing it again now. Well, you're absolutely right about that. You're allowed to discuss the same topic more than once in your life, you know. You're allowed to revisit it. You're allowed to revisit topics. You, for example, back when you were about 5 years of age, I'm sure you talk about the tooth fairy, and then you came back to it in your late teens and you talk about it again, and you had a different mindset about it then, I can tell you. That doesn't mean you were wrong to come back to it. Oh no, you came back with a new understanding of it. And it's the same with me. I'm coming back now with a new understanding of faces, having had another couple of years under my belt of face experience. I've been going around with a face on me for approximately 37 years now. I had a face before I was born, as I understand it, but I don't have much memory of that. In fact, I don't have much memory of my first 2 or 3 years as a face. I do remember as a young child being rather confused about what way my face was arranged. I could never remember whether the eyes were on top or the nose was on top and the eyes in the middle and the mouth at the bottom, or the other way around. And quite frankly, these cartoons where they draw characters that are just a face with arms and legs coming out of it, they didn't help in my understanding. I seem to have gotten through it anyway. I didn't die from lack of understanding of the face, which I suppose tells you a lot. Tells you that as a child you don't need to have a proper understanding of a face. Admittedly now, if I was going around with the same confusion at the moment, then it would be a problem. Such as, for example, later today when I shave, I'm going to need to know where my eyes are and where my nose is and where they are in relation to each other. But I've got a mirror for that. You don't need to know everything, you just need to know how to find out about everything. So for example, I might still not know how my face is arranged, but I know that I can find out just by looking in a mirror. It's the same way when people say, oh, these young people, they don't know anything about their candidates for their election. They don't, but they know how to find out. They can do a Google and do some research and find out in a couple of minutes who's available to vote for. They can look in the mirror of although the problem with that mirror, that so-called mirror of the internet, is that it's not necessarily an automated reflection. It may be tailored by the author. This is getting a bit deep, but no, it may be tailored and biased towards the author. So you have to learn about their sources. You have to learn what type of mirror is that, and who's responsible for it, and what's their ulterior motives in saying such a thing about these candidates. You don't have that problem with your bathroom mirror, although you do, because sometimes the light is different. You have to think, does my face look like that because it's quite dark in here, or there is sun coming in from that side of the mirror, or is there something on the inside of the mirror, such as, for example, a reflection of some light that's causing me to look different? And that is that important. It's just a freaking face. You're not a freaking supermodel. You don't have to perfect everything, unless, of course, you are a supermodel or you're aiming to be one, in which case, can't help you there. You're just going to have to go and do your own research there. Do it on the internet. Go and do a Google. Do how to be a supermodel aeroplane, and you'll find out a bit there, and then tailor your search further to something that doesn't involve aeroplanes. When I hear supermodel, all I can think of is model aeroplanes. America's Next Top Model Aeroplanes on the television every freaking 5 minutes here. They have America's Next Top Model Aeroplane. They have Australia's Next Top Model Aeroplane. They have Britain's Next Top Model Aeroplane. They have Canada's Next Top Model Aeroplane. And then they show the previous ones too, but they still call them, when they're in reruns, they still call them the Next Top Model Aeroplane. It's absolutely fucking it's messing with the space-time continuum, and that's why we're all going to die very soon. We're all going to die sometime in the next 70 years. I predict we'll all be dead, most of us anyway. Some of you you probably eat porridge for breakfast. Some of you will still be alive. Or will you be happy? Here's a question for you. Will you be happy? I suppose the only way to find out is to have a look at your genes and see what diseases you're going to have later in life. And if you have a disease that requires drugs that have side effects of making you happy, then there's a good chance that you'll be happy. I don't know. Where are we going with this? We're probably going into a brief commercial interlude.
Into your head.
Support the Podcastual Arts at no cost to you. Just click through the Amazon link at intoyourhead.com whenever you go shopping for anything, even if you use Amazon UK or Canada. We'll take your weird foreign money here. We're not proud. Just visit intoyourhead.com and click on the appropriate Amazon banner.
Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener. Email Neal at studio@intoyourhead.com.
You are listening to Into Your Head, a listener-supported podcast. Please visit intoyourhead.com/tipjar.
Once upon a time, there was a supermodel aeroplane, and the supermodel aeroplane was walking along the catwalk stroke runway one day. Oh, that's clever. That's very clever. I've been doing this thing for years where I refer to America's Next Top Model as America's Next Top Model Aeroplane, but that's the first time I've made the connection between aeroplanes and runways, because over in America, runways are called catwalks are called runways, so that's very clever. Finally, I've retrospectively justified my obsession with calling it America's Next Top Model Aeroplane. I'm proud of that now. This segment has done enough now. We're only 48 seconds in, and I've already made a profound connection. I only wish I'd done that years ago. So if only now Project Runway and the English version Project Catwalk could be tied in with that now instead of America's Next Top Model. That would make it even more relevant, but I think it's relevant enough as it is. We could probably degenerate into a harmonica song now, and this segment will still be worth a fortune. Let's see how it goes. Oh America's next top aeroplane was walking along the catwalk. Oh yes, that's where it was. I was starting a story, wasn't I, about America's next top model aeroplane walking along the runway. Not a fashion runway, a real runway, as opposed by walking along it. I mean, trundling along it. What do you call it? You know the thing where an aeroplane drives slowly around on the tarmac. Was crude? No, not crude. However that word is. Anyway, America's next top model aeroplane. Although I didn't know at the time that it was America's next top model aeroplane. Although I had a good idea, it was still being tested. Hadn't been sold to any airliners yet. But it was America's first 3-story luxury aircraft. It was a Boeing 1287, let's say. So it knew it had a good. It was an inanimate object, but the builders knew they had a good chance of being America's next top model aeroplane, unless there was some huge recession or maybe some terrorism thing that dragged the travel industry down, which as it happens there was going to be, because this was in the 90s, this story is set. But it was still, everything, the air was full of optimism at the time. They didn't know what was ahead of them, and we, the listeners, should pretend we don't know either. And let's enjoy the story with the model aeroplane was trundling along. What the hell is that word for an aeroplane driving along on the tarmac? It'll come to me no doubt later after I've uploaded this. Anyway, America's next top model aeroplane to be was trundling along the tarmac, watching its flashing itself around at the lights, imagining that the flashing lights at the side of the runway were photographers' cameras flashing away and preening itself and being all proud. And next thing you know, it crashed into a wall, and they said, what the freaking hell is... Well, it didn't say it, but the driver said, what the freaking... The pilot, I suppose, if you want to be technical about it, for any engineers listening, it's technically called a pilot. The pilot said, what the freaking hell is a wall doing in the middle of a runway? And then the police stopped the plane and boarded it and said, you're drunk, you've driven into a wall. This plane isn't even licensed to leave the runway. You certainly left the runway, I can tell you, because they don't put walls in the middle of runways or even right beside them. No, they have a perimeter fence, but that's like half a mile away from the runway. It wouldn't be just a road there, a wall there at the side of the runway. No, because you could clip your wings on that. Anyway, the pilot got arrested, but America's next top model aeroplane was still intact, just had a little slight damage to its paintwork, and of course that hole got repaired, and a great life was had by all until 2000 and whatever it was, 11th of September 2001, or was it 2003, whatever it was, that happened, and then the shit broke the fan, and the fan got put away into mothballs to protect it from being hit by any more shit until the end of the recession. Anyway, where are we going with this? Probably nowhere, but I already made a great profound point about runways within the first 43 seconds of this segment. That was nearly 4.5 minutes ago now, and I'm still reaping the benefits of that. It's absolutely fucking fantastic. Profundity is, it's next to godliness and cleanliness. That's what it is. It's third in line. You have godliness there, then you have, of course, cleanliness, because cleanliness is next to godliness. So I suppose they're joint first, and then below that, if they're joint first, then profundity is second. I don't think it's in joint place with anything else. I haven't thought of anything yet that needs to be in joint place anyway. So no, it's second behind joint firsts. That's the thing about having joint first place. The third in line gets pushed up to second in line. It's ridiculous, really. It just gets lucky. Well, still, it's not responsible for the way sequential numbers work, I suppose. Anyway, on with the show.
Need more? Subscribe to the free reruns and extras feed and shut your stupid ugly face. See intoyourhead.com/archive for details.
Taxiing, that's the word I was trying to remember. Taxiing. Although I must say, now that I remember the word, I don't like it very much. I'm glad I didn't think of it during the preceding segment. It would have taken away from the classiness of it all. Nothing against taxi drivers or taxis, but taxi is far from America's next great model jumbo jet aeroplane. No, it's not classy. If you want the classy in terms of cars, you want a hired private limo, not a taxi. Not that there's anything wrong with taxis. They're just not up there with giant future 3-story luxury aeroplanes, although an aeroplane does have its limitations because they can't go along roads. That's the thing about taxis. They can drive pretty much anywhere that there's a road. They can drive up and down the road and up and down. I was in a couple of taxis recently with an Into Your Head listener. It was absolutely fantastic. Went up to Dublin, met up and we crammed our faces with food and beer, and then we went and had an afternoon nap, and then we crammed our faces with more food, and then we went to bed, and then we crammed our faces with more food, and then we parted our ways. It was a great weekend was had by all. It was absolutely fantastic. And then they got on their joint model aeroplane, went back home with a slight delay of 24 hours, because that's how travel works in Ireland. If you get on the plane out of Ireland, allow an extra 24 hours each way, just to allow for, just in case you miss you overfly because if you overfly, say if you're making a stop off in Chicago and the plane accidentally overflies Chicago, then you have to stay on it for another 24 hours while it circumnavigates the globe again, or else you get off somewhere and wait while the plane itself circumnavigates the globe again and stops again to pick you up. Such is my understanding. Not that I have much of an understanding of international travel. Who does? That's why we pay the experts to do it for us. We pay the pilots and America's top next model aeroplanes to do it for us, and we give them our fares, and we say, I don't know how to fly a plane or how to get one. Here's some money for a ticket. Will you put me on the plane, please, and have a professional drive it for me, and try not to lose my luggage while you're at it, if you don't mind me saying so. Anyway, good morning.